Design. All right. Inflatable Falcon is starting in a few minutes. Here's our intro. Maybe. There we go.
Well, you look the part, but let's see some of your moves.
Feeling free and it feels so right. Oh, time to do the things I like. Gonna see a princess, everything's alright. Oh, no job but an answer to. Ain't a fixture in the palace zoo. No, and since the carpet lights off me, I'm living life now that I'm free. Yeah, told me get myself together. Now I got myself together. Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy the current night is gone. I'm moving on. I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. I'm putting on my shades to cover up my eyes. I'm jumping in my ride. I'm heading out tonight. I'm solo. I'm hot solo. I'm hot solo. I'm hot solo. Solo. Picking up my plaster, putting it on my side. I'm jumping in my falcon, whoopie at my side. I'm solo. I'm hot solo. I'm hot solo. I'm hot solo. Solo.
Okay, I can see you have some skills, but now it's my turn.
Oops, I don't know what I did. I clicked something.
It's fine.
I don't know
We're
what.
so used to not knowing what we did.
It says all the streams are working. So the
And we got one
Facebook
person with us so far.
the Facebook event is the one that it will not let me edit. Let me see. Let me see. Share to public. Okay. I don't understand. Go live. Let me see. It says we're live. There we go.
I believe him.
It says we're live. I go to my distribution. It says moving live for 2 minutes. I'm sure this is extremely entertaining to everybody. But I am just trying. Here we go. Viewers. Allow viewers to message. Yes. Interactivity. Okay. Dashboard. Okay. So, Ken, how's your week been?
It's been a heck of a week, I'll say that.
Yeah.
And I can't believe it's only Wednesday.
Oh, I know, right? Well, for me, I'm kind of glad it's only Wednesday right at the moment. But let's see here.
Yeah, because you and the fam got many days of adventure ahead of you.
We do. Let me. Okay, I don't know who's watching this, and I'm going to have to. I just don't understand. I guess I just don't understand how this works. Someone's going to have to give me a lesson on.
We'll have to do some more rehearsal behind the scenes.
Well, because the one time we got it to work and it was wonderful. We got the Facebook thing to work, but I can't seem to pull that screen up anymore. And I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know how it got undone or redone or not done.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a setting that I am just looking at a million times. And
what's that, like that 4-leaf clover that you've looked over a million times before?
Yes. So I don't know. But besides that, let me just see if I can get out of this screen. Make sure I don't turn off the things that are actually working.
Or end it, just go to the outro after a few minutes.
Yeah. So here we go. Share, notifications, duplicate, export guest list, cancel.
Now John's on another mission this week, right?
I believe John is missionating it, but he found that really cool thing, which I didn't understand what that was. If you guys wouldn't have told me what that card was, I didn't.
Oh, it's for his the new game that he's been playing.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that was pretty cool, I thought. Yeah, let me see. I don't know. We have one person, which is probably me watching it.
And we're roughly a month away from, speaking of games, we're roughly 1 month away from that new Star Wars Outlaws game to come out.
Yeah, do I have to buy a new Xbox for that?
Either Xbox or PlayStation. It's got to be the more recent one, like PlayStation 5 or Xbox One or something like that.
Okay, I think I'm good on that then. I think. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I gotta close this down or I'm gonna be distracted the whole time. But I don't know what I did. I just know what did we do the one time? It was just so. It seemed like we had so many more people, and
Well, I wasn't here for that one.
yeah, that was just like a weird.
The stars aligned, or the moons aligned.
I just clicked I just must have clicked the right button, or I don't know what I did, but yeah, I don't know. Settings, viewers here. See, I'm here, right here, and
It's showing 3 viewers now.
well, that's good. Maybe we got some new people. I don't know if the Facebook thing's working and you're watching us on Facebook, but yeah, see, I keep getting a Facebook error on my
I wonder if it's something that you have to do within your account, your Facebook account, not your.
That could be. As long as YouTube's working, I don't really care. Make sure we're live on YouTube, and then I'll be good.
Now we're up to 4, so
Somebody's watching us somewhere. So if people can chime in where they're watching it, it would be great.
Yeah, let us know.
Apparently, we are still live on. I don't know why.
One of those things.
I don't know. Oh, there it is. Oops, sorry. I don't know why the chat's not working. It just says stream. I don't know what happened here. Let me see. I don't know. It wouldn't be our show without tons of errors. So hopefully people can find us.
We're like the Bad News Bears.
Yeah, right. All right. So where was it? Okay, so we were going to have someone talk the Rocketeer with us, and he couldn't make it. So you and I will talk Rocketeer. But before we get to that, let's do costume corner.
Yeah.
What you been working on, Ken?
So I'm not working on anything, but I did get another addition to Heather's Alien Colonial Marines costume. I'm not going to say it out loud on here because it's a gift for her birthday.
Oh, okay.
So I don't want her or the world to know what it is until after I give it to her in August.
Nice.
But I think it's super fun to see her get excited about making a costume. It's kind of like when I look at myself making something and how animated and motivated and excited I get, like, oh, I'm going to do this thing or make that piece for it. So I'm glad I'm helping her with that. How about you? What kind of stuff have you been working on this week?
I've been firing up this resin printer and got it working. So I just been printing stuff. So I printed a bunch of earpieces for Mandos, some Vader parts, just messing around with. I got new resin in, but I'm going away, so I'll fire that up when I get back. But I got some black, translucent red, and translucent green.
Oh, nice.
Filament. So I will fire that up.
And what's the largest piece you can print on that printer?
It's pretty small. So like I want to say it's probably 3 by 5x5 or something.
So
It's
maybe like a softball size something.
less than a softball, probably a half a softball. Like if you cut a softball in half, that would probably be a,
Okay.
you know.
So it's great for greeblies and all those small bits.
Oh yeah, yeah. So, and then I think what I'm going to do is I looked at the price, the washer tank, and the curing tank. Now they used to be like ridiculously cost prohibitive, but now they're like the combo washer slash curing tank is $99.
Wow.
So I think I'm going to get one of those. It just beats like washing it by hand with rubbing alcohol because it's just tough on your hands. Even when you have gloves, you always get it on you. So I'll probably go to that. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. I mean, it's unbelievable how much smoother. They're heavier now. They're a lot heavier than 3D.
Because they're solid pieces, right?
Yeah, they're solid pieces. So yeah, so I don't know. That's about it, really. I haven't done. It's just been so hot. Like for me, it's just like I had tons of plans this summer, and the heat is killing me on that aspect. So
Yeah, I mean when the real feel index is 105,
yeah,
that's pretty toasty.
yeah, yeah. And then it just seems like when you're sanding, like everything sticks to you. You know, like so. Yeah, besides that, I mean, nothing really. I was all pumped for Rocketeer talk tonight, so I was like a little Star Wars down.
Well, how are your plans going for your trip out west?
Good, like we're packed and ready to go. So my bag's packed. As soon as I'm done here, I'm just going to hit the hay and get up at 2 a.m. and we'll be out west and for a week or so. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
And all three of you are going, right?
No, just me and Missy. Or yeah, just me and Missy. Sappy's
Oh.
staying home with the dog. She has to work.
Oh, okay.
So she's going out in the fall when she has spring or fall break to visit.
Oh, that's very cool. And then you said you're going to do a special trip to the East Coast, right? Down to
Yeah, me and Safi, we're just going 3 days in August just to go because Safi hasn't been to Batu yet, so we're gonna run down to Batu.
And you warned her about the overwhelming awesomeness of it all, right?
Yeah. So it'll be fun with her. Her and I will just kind of hang there. But
Do you think the two of you would bound while you're there?
what's that mean?
Where you wear Star Wars type clothes, but they're not actual, full on costume.
we talked about it. We might. It just it depends. It really depends anymore with like airfares dictated by you carrying like a Ziploc bag of clothing. You know what I mean?
Well, the snack bag size.
Yeah. So that's
Big
like,
enough for 15 animal crackers.
and it's in Florida in August, so it's like, that sounds really good until you get to Florida in August. But yeah, we talked about that, so we probably will. I'm not doing it. California, we were trying to pack as lean as possible, make sure we have everything in the bags, and so. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Star Wars. And
You're gonna see Sal while you're out there too, right?
Huh?
You're gonna see Sal while you're out there, right?
Hopefully, see Sal. Yeah, see Steele, and I'm stopping over to Magic Jump. That's on the schedule. I think that's Monday. We're going to Magic Jump.
Nice.
But yeah. So besides that, I mean, it's been the newest episode of Acolyte. I thought was really good. Again, that show ends, and you're like, wait a minute. That was that that quick.
That quick, and I now feel like I have fewer answers than I had before because I'm questioning everything I thought I knew or thought I thought before.
Oh yeah. I'm and I yeah, that's one of those things where it was like it's the wrong people didn't listen, like Saul didn't listen and started a bigger, it just snowballed. It was like everybody was a problem. You know what I mean? So, and then the cover up I think was almost worse than the crime.
Yeah, because think about all the things that transpired in the 16 years since.
Yeah.
that happened. And I know we're kind of tiptoeing around it as to not be too spoilery, but
Right, right,
it is very interesting seeing this non-linear kind of storytelling where you're in the now, you're jumping into the past, you're in the now, you're jumping into the past, but when you jump into the past, it's from a different angle or a different perspective. So you're seeing things this time that you didn't see the last time.
right. Well, and the other thing, we have one episode left, and there's so many things to answer. You know, I mean,
So
it,
maybe what they'll do, considering this last episode was one of their longer ones, maybe the last episode will be like a feature movie length, just to, to,
maybe
to
just
tie up
yeah,
as many threads as they can, pun
yeah.
intended.
That was just that was a that was a good one. But I'm just like, man, that's like you said, and we still didn't even talk about the Sith guy. I mean, like we got less answers on one half of the show, but we still didn't even talk about that. Like I thought there was going to be something with him in there. Maybe I'm just so used to comic books, like everyone's origin is tied together, like, and so yeah, that's
Well, and we still don't know like if they're not, because there's, like I said, there's more questions than answers, and even the answers that I think I got were for questions that I didn't ask before, and so you gave me this piece, but wait a minute, I don't remember where that one fit in, and where's it, like, to your point, where's it going to go in
right,
this
right,
in this last episode?
yeah, yeah. So that's yeah, that was really I thought it was really good,
And
but
my hope for this is similar to my hope for all of the Star Wars shows, is just more like this.
yeah, yeah,
We know that this is being presented to us with a big gap between this part of the timeline, and the Phantom Menace. So there's so much room there for stories related to the happenings that are going on, whether you're talking about the Virgins, or you're talking about that stranger, or you're talking about this mysterious coven that we still don't understand how they managed to get to Brendock and
yeah,
inhabit that building that was supposedly a mine, but because of that huge accident during the High Republic time, made this planet lifeless, but now it's got life back to it.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I also thought that might have shown the error in the Jedi ways, in the sense that sometimes the Jedi mainly they thought they were absolute in all their, like, they checked it fine, and no one ever questioned any of their protocols or anything. You
Well,
know,
if they did question them, was it really questioning them, or was it just um, permitting it? So, for instance, as we're talking about the Jedi specifically, they Indira mentioned that it was against the law for other people to train Force users. Only the Jedi could do that.
yeah.
So somewhere along the way, a bunch of people had to get together and say, "Hey, here's the new rule. If your kid can lift things with its mind, they got to go to the Jedi."
Well, and do you think that was a rule, or how sometimes people think there's rules when there really aren't rules, or was it?
Well, she did. I thought she said it was against the. I thought she said it was against the law. I could be wrong. I could be mistaken how it was described, but that's the impression I got, because the Mother Anasea's response was, "We're not under the rule of the Republic out here. We're not under the so like that law doesn't exist here."
Right, but I wonder if how sometimes in the real world things get associated with other things that are not really related, like the Jedi and the Republic. Like, was the Jedi really saying that, or was someone saying, I don't know. It's just fun. It's just fun that there's that much um, stuff that can go, in my opinion, with that. Um,
Well, I think it also, adds more substance to the things we saw in the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. And I think you and I have talked about it before, how this show is really a great bridge between what's in the new High Republic books, or the newer High Republic books, and what we've seen so far.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely.
And in wonderful George Lucas and Star Wars fashion, they're dropping us into the middle of something, and we have to pick it up as we go.
Yeah, yeah,
The big difference is that non-linear part of the storytelling, because in New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, we didn't have flashbacks.
right, right.
It was all from this moment forward, and in between the movies there was a big time jump.
Yeah,
Whereas this, it's an episodic thing, but when the episode starts, it's not always where we left off.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it looks like, at least like our whatchamacallit feed's working.
Oh, we got our. Oh, that's right. We got a YouTube comment in there from
Well, that's good. I
from
don't know.
Lily.
I don't know why our Facebook one isn't working, but hey, we can only ask for one to work.
Got to roll the dice.
Well, and you know what, I they were collecting all those samples, so I was wondering, like, what were they collecting the samples for? Like, was it like when people went to Chernobyl and
Well, quite possibly, because they did mention that the planet was considered lifeless because of that accident. So maybe it's one of two things, or either checking to see if there's radiation, or on the other end of that, maybe they're trying to figure out how it's possible that these plants are thriving on a planet that was lifeless. I mean, think about another lifeless planet that we've seen in Star Wars most recently is Mandalore, after it got bombed by the Empire.
yeah,
So we have seen other planets that had been hugely devastated, but we haven't seen anyone try to figure out if it sustains life, and maybe that's what they're doing, trying to figure out how is this possible.
yeah, that's true. It reminded me a little bit of was that Wrath of Khan, when they dropped the planet killing bomb?
Yeah, I think that might have been one of ILM's first real, like, computer generated kind of
Yeah,
things,
I think you're right. Yeah, it reminded me of that. Like, it reminded me of, like, they were amazed that the planet was, so, because they were doing all kinds of samples and stuff, and it was neat.
Well, there was that part. I found it interesting to see Jedi doing things that we aren't used to seeing them do.
The mundane.
Yeah, or the mundane, or something that doesn't have to do with justice, or preventing violence, or being involved in violence, even
Yeah.
though ultimately they ended up getting into that kind of a messy situation. Because we've heard of Jedi, taking on different roles, whether it's research, or almost like a sheriff in other planets or whatever, but we've never actually seen it like this.
Yeah, and I did notice with this show, though, they are very slow to turn their lightsabers on. Like in Phantom Menace, they hear like a peep, and their sabers are on.
Yeah, and they're swinging it around in elevators, or
Yeah.
tight, cramped spaces, using it as a key to get through blast doors.
And I tell you, the Wookiee fighting, that would be the scariest lightsaber fight ever. Because when your lightsaber is not the strongest thing you have to, you know what I mean? So, like the way he was throwing them around.
Yeah, I am glad we got to see that, because if I had two complaints about the show up until this point, one of the complaints would be, how is it possible that we're given a Wookiee Jedi, not even a youngling Wookiee Jedi, so it's not like a a teenager or a toddler Jedi. We're given a 7 foot tall walking carpet Jedi. How is it possible that we don't get to see him do anything?
Right, right.
So I'm
Yeah,
glad we got to see that.
yeah. I mean, that was good.
And I know we've said it a couple of times how impressed we are with the costuming and the prop choices and stuff like that. I mean, there was a couple of times where I in typical Ken fashion, I had paused it because I was looked like, for instance, the staffs that the witches had. I paused it a couple times because it looks like they had different ones. The heads of the staff had different designs on them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I did find it interesting or curious that they did have almost like earth kite types of bow and arrows. It wasn't the energy bows that the Night Sisters had, or
yeah.
even the one that Omega used. It looked like it was similar to a compound bow, and that we'd go down to Dick's Sporting Goods to get.
Yeah, it had something on the tip though. Like it looked like the tip had something. I think.
Yeah, I did notice that, but I
Um,
couldn't figure out what it was.
yeah, that was. I mean, that was good. That was. I was like, oh, that's not going to end well, But again, it was just like it showed, like they're so dogmatic that then like they make mistakes and the mistakes are big, you know.
Well, I did find it curious that so we'll talk about Indara and Saul. So Saul wants to do something, and Dara is saying we shouldn't, and somehow his insistence overpowers her resistance. Like, like no means no. We're not going to do that thing. I know you think it's a good idea, and I'm letting you know. No, I mean, we've got.
Well, I wonder if that's because they were both Jedi Masters, though.
No, he wasn't a master though. It didn't seem like.
Yeah, but the only thing she said, that's why you don't have a Padawan or something like that. But I took that as they were kind of like on the same level.
But even if it's on the same level, if the policy is the policy, if the rule is the rule, then it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
matter. It doesn't matter if you're the supreme Jedi overlord or if you're, the Padawan. We're not supposed to do this, so we shouldn't do this.
yeah,
And masters aren't the only ones that can have Padawans. We saw that um, um, Snapperneck Yord,
oh
he
yeah,
had a Padawan,
yeah,
and he was only a Jedi Knight.
yeah. Well, Anakin had one too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Did they not have a rank for that mission? I don't understand. Because it seemed like she was in charge, but then it didn't seem sometimes. Like, yeah, they have to have the color differentiated robes like Star
Yeah,
Trek, I
yeah.
guess.
Or some sort of insignia. This is the captain. This is the lieutenant.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
the private first class.
yeah,
The only thing is was it Torben, Padawan braid that gives it away. So he's the
yeah.
student. He's the pupil still.
It is weird that Torvin of all of them seemed to be hurt the most. Like not physically, but long term. Like he went into that trance for how many years?
Yeah, he went into it for a decade,
Yeah.
and he didn't go into it until 6 years after all this happened.
Right. So I wonder why. Like I wonder see, I wonder if there's another flashback that happens. Like when did the Wookiee go in his like isolation or
Well, when did they all part ways? Because
yeah.
so we'll start with Torben because that's the one that you mentioned first. Not only did he advance past Padawan, he made it all the way to Master in 6 years, and in that time said, "You know what? I'm just gonna sit here for a while because I feel really bad about that thing we did 6 years ago."
Right.
So then there's him, and he goes into that
And
trance.
I would say he's probably the least at fault out of anyone because he was a Padawan.
Well, he was the least at fault, um, because he also, I think he contributed the least to the violence, and he
Yeah.
wasn't pushing his ways on. He
Yeah.
wasn't insistent on things. He just wanted to go home.
Right.
Um, and it seemed like he was the first target. Like, let's go for the weakest link.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they went the other direction. Let's go to the strongest link and pit the strongest link against everybody. So
Yeah.
now you
Yeah.
have to contend with one of your own.
That was almost like they remind me of Ghostbusters. Remember when they told him not to think of anything?
Yeah. Then it's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Then the Wookiee appears.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just curious. Like, is there another flash? Is there a 6-year flashback? Is there something that came up? Because Saul seems to be the only one that's still involved. Because the I forget, is it Andara?
Indara, yeah.
And she was like kind of. It seemed like she was just kind of on her own little thing, like her own little bar there, like hanging out.
Well, she could have been stationed at that planet's Jedi temple,
Yeah.
kind of like Torben was at that. He was at that temple and decided to go into that trance. And there were
Right.
other Jedis around, other sheriffs around or whatever. So this part of a conversation is a fantastic example of exactly what I talked about near the beginning. Is that we've seen some things, and now we have 952 more questions.
Right. Right.
That I feel very confident in saying this. They're not going to answer all of those questions in the next episode. It will be impossible for them to do that. And are all of those questions that we're asking worth answering? Because we still don't truly know who the focus of the show is.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Are we going to pay attention to Saul and the decisions that he made that impacted the group? Are we going to, talk about what Torben did in between, or Kelnaka did in between? Or are we going to go back to the twins, or are we going to shift gears altogether and now go to the stranger?
Yeah.
AKA Keimer, who I don't know if that's his real name or not, and his connection possibly to Venestra, who we've only seen a couple times.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I was at my just wanting to wrap all the stories together. I was thinking that he was a byproduct of them being made. That was my first initial, very short-sighted thought. But who knows?
Yeah, because of this jumping back and forth in time and jumping back and forth in terms of whose focus we're looking at this stuff through, it's really hard to place.
Yeah.
Because he the stranger seems much older than May and Osha. In fact, it sounds like he may be even older than we think he is.
Maybe he's Plagueis.
Maybe, but it wouldn't mesh up or match up with what we've heard of Plagueis so far.
Well, what have we heard of Plagueis other than what is there any canon Plagueis stories?
I'm not sure.
Other than Revenge of the Sith,
At the opera, because I don't
think that book about Plagueis was. I think that was out before the canon thing hit. Hey, there's Marty. Hey, Marty.
Hey, he's on Facebook.
We at least have something working. That's coming a Facebook post too. So something must have got turned on right.
So we got two things working. Good to hear from you, Marty.
Marty, have you watched The Acolyte yet? So I'm just getting ready to go to sleep and go to the thing. But so we should switch gears, even though our Rocketeer guy wasn't here. But you watched the Rocketeer recently, right?
Yes.
And I watched the Rocketeer recently. And so hopefully if we talk Rocketeer, our Rocketeer guy will come on next time. So
who's the dude in Always Sunny in California that you and John compare me to? What's his name? The guy with the
Charlie.
Charlie. So the guy with the
Yes.
plans, the guy with the strings and the different connections.
Yeah. So give us your connections with that show with that.
So there are 4 deliberate connections between the Rocketeer, the movie,
Yeah.
and Star Wars, and we'll start off from general down to most specific. So generally speaking, the Rocketeer, many of the special effects were done by Industrial Lights and Magic.
Right.
So the company that created all those wonderful things that we've seen in Star Wars and Indiana Jones, where that group was used for the Rocketeer.
30 years ago.
Yes, because it came out in, what was it, 80, 85? When did Rocketeer come out?
94.
Really? Oh, wow.
Is it 94? I'm just guessing. I was, for some reason, 30 sticks in my head.
No,
Like,
91. It came out in 91.
okay, so it's 33 years old.
91. So there's that. So the special effects were done by ILM. 2 of the makers of the Rocketeer worked on Star Wars. So Ken Ralston,
Mm-hmm.
who was second unit director on the Rocketeer, also deeply involved in Star Wars, and Joe Johnston. Joe Johnston, deeply involved in Star Wars. He helped design, with Ralph McQuarrie, the Boba Fett costume, helped design the version of the Millennium Falcon that we know. And he's been in been involved in a bunch of other things, including Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and stuff. And one of the other cool parts of the Joe Johnston story is at one point, while working for George, he was going to stop working and go to school. And George said, well, why don't you go to film school? And what I'll do is I'll pay you half your salary if you go to USC film school. So George encouraged Joe to go to film school, and then Joe ended up becoming a director and being involved in movies beyond just the design aspect of movies. And then when we get, here's the most specific one, and Dave Stevens, the writer of the Rocketeer, who was born in 1955, oddly enough, was born in Linwood, California, and there's a Linwood, New Jersey, not too far away from where I am, so it's a fun little coincidence. But he actually worked on comics, and he was involved in the Marvel comics, the Star Wars Marvel comics.
Oh, that's funny.
So he was involved in that, and he ended up being, was a storyboard artist for Hanna-Barbera and the Godzilla Power Hour, and so he's done a bunch of things, but he was involved in the comic part of Star Wars in the late 70s. So those are some of the wild connections of Star Wars and how it's influenced things beyond it.
Well, now yours was way deeper than mine, because I was looking for connections, and because Rocketeer is one of those few, like, I look at that helmet, I was like, oh, that's cool. And I remember seeing it. I remember watching. I think I went to the movies, theaters to see it. I mean, I wasn't like a kid or anything, and I remember really liking it. And when I was watching this gentleman who was supposed to be on our show, talk about it, I guess it didn't do well in the theater, which I was surprised. I mean, because to me it was kind of like almost like the Mummy and Indiana Jones and Star Wars all kind of wrapped into one in a simple package, and Batman and all that.
Well, interestingly enough, with the movie part of it, when they finally did get it into the theaters, and it was a Disney movie, but that's not where it started. It had been shopped around and optioned around, and those other companies didn't really do anything with it. Disney had kind of hoped that it would become like the next Indiana Jones. It's designed in such a great way, and even the comics weren't wildly successful. They were successful, but they weren't like your Batmans and Supermans and X-Men kind of things.
Yeah, I picked up a couple of comics years back, and they just the Broomhoundo Mauser is what also he in the I can't remember if that's what he used in the. I don't think he carried a pistol with him in the movie, but in the comic he carried a Broomhoundo Mauser. So he carried Han Solo's pistol. I think he used one in the movie, but
Well, I think he picked it up from one of the Nazi soldiers,
the henchman.
one of the henchmen. Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, I thought it was and the costuming. See, and that's the other thing, because that's what I wanted to talk to him about, was the costuming, because they're slowly, you're seeing more and more of those costuming people, and I wonder if that becomes a group like, the Star Wars group. Like, I mean, like, because I think they tie that in with like the Green Hornet and that genre of Dick Tracy and stuff like that. That genre of costumes. So, but it's a neat costume. Like the helmet. That's one of the few non-Star Wars helmet files I bought. I searched a whole bunch looking for, some have the rivets, some don't have the rivets and stuff like that. So, I felt like I was pausing it and looking, okay, which one? Because, at first I was like, I didn't know anything about the helmet, but it looks like a pretty easy helmet to make, because it does seem, it's similar to the old Star Wars helmets. That was a practical effect, so you can stick a human head inside it.
Yeah, it was interesting to watch, because here I am watching it on a television with HD capabilities, and it was probably better quality on this television than when it came out in the theaters.
Yeah.
But the special effects aren't as special. I mean, they still hold up fairly well, I think.
Yeah.
They're not as like, if you watched any of the House of Dragon or Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So watching those dragons fight or perish on screen, like, they look legit real. And there were some scenes, and it's like, I was around.
I was going to say, I thought the practical effects worked out pretty well. Like the ones where they have them hanging from a helicopter that you don't see, and these flying around.
Yeah,
they came out pretty good. But yeah, I mean, what I did like is it kind of, it almost, because I was just at World War II weekends too, it kind of melded that World War II historic nostalgia with the costume building kind of thing, like the cars and the planes and stuff like that.
Well, and that throwback to that time period.
Yeah.
So I think those comics were from the 90s, right? Or the late 80s?
Yeah, I don't think it was a Green Hornet style. I think they were relatively new. Again, I don't know my Rocketeer lore, but I don't think it's as old as any of those other ones.
Yeah, and so they were picking up themes and design elements from those earlier pieces, or even you could even go so far as to say, oh, look, we got Rob in the chat.
Hey, Rob, we're talking non-Star Wars Rocketeer. So even though it was done when it was done, it was drawn and story element wise from a much earlier time. So back in the 30s and 40s. And it did have a feel of the first Captain America movie.
Yeah, a bajillion times. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, fighting Nazis, dirigibles, that sort of thing. And also you could make that leap to Iron Man, not just from the flying around jetpack kind of thing, but from the perspective of a normal human with no superpowers who wants to do these incredible things, even when he's told over and over again, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that.
Yeah. I did like when they pulled the statue out of the ground and the heads all wore away, and he's like, I better get a helmet.
Yeah.
So, and I did like this, like the backgrounds and the sets of it, again, like what I think I liked about this movie was, you didn't, like, when I was younger and I saw Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, I thought, man, that's like the one. Yeah. I was like, that's the greatest movie ever. And then like 5 or 6 years later, just the hairstyles alone, you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. And this one didn't date that way. You know what I mean? Like this one was very similar to Star Wars. It's timeless.
Well,
You
I
know?
want to know where they, you're talking about the sets and stuff. Where did they get all those classic cars? Like those things were gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, it was just absolutely fantastic seeing them with, suicide doors and all. And
Oh yeah.
I'm
I
gonna
imagine.
guess.
I imagine there's companies that just rent to. I'll have to ask my Paramount tour where they get all the old cars.
Yeah.
I'll ask my Paramount tour guide when we go on a Paramount tour
Because
Saturday.
it wasn't just like two or three. I mean, and they had ones that were, were used in stunts. I mean, driving through fields and crashing into trees and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm gonna guess. I mean, I'm mechanically declined. I'm not great at putting things together, taking things. I'm good at breaking things, but not fixing them. I can only imagine the simplicity of those engines
Oh yeah. Yeah.
versus the simplicity or the complexity of a car today that has, computers and backup cameras and all this kind of stuff in it.
Well, the motor's still basically the same. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, it's not. But when I had my oldest car I ever owned, I had a 52 Ford and a 55 Chevy. And the 55 Chevy had 3 electrical wires that ran to the motor. That was it. There was, you know what I mean? There was no, so it is way more simpler, but.
Because I remember like the 71 Beetle that I had, you undo 4 bolts and you could pull the whole engine out.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's the fun part. But I see, I imagine a lot of those cars too, they probably have, like, if you've watched some of those where they, like, when they film a lot of these shows, the cars either don't have motors in them or they have an electric motor because it costs too much money to keep starting and stopping these gas powered cars, and then they put the sound effect in later.
Okay.
Like if you see, like, if you'll see a person that has a big muscle car and they drive off. Well, they usually have like a one for the shots where it's like a really tiny motor that they can just, and then they'll put all the sound in later. So I mean, it's amazing when you just saw what even what Matt did with our movie. Like what you think you see, and then when you're like, yeah, we were just like standing there and then running like 5 feet.
Well, to your point, what you think you hear, or what you hear in the movie versus what was actually on filmed on set, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that's one thing that is beautiful about this movie, and Rob kind of points to it, that 1940s aesthetic, and that was everything from the dishes in the diner.
Oh yeah,
to the canned foods and stuff like that. It was,
well, and even the hairstyles of all the people, like they were like, again, I've seen so many, and I never noticed it until when Robin Hood, whatever, I went to watch a couple years, I was like, everything was perfect in that movie except for they had 90s hair. You know what I mean? It was like, wait, and I think that's what Disney and Marvel picked up on. Like, if you watch the Marvel movies, they take place where they're supposed to take place.
Where and when.
Where and when, yeah. And this one you could probably say is a predecessor to just that touch of detail. Can you imagine if the Rocketeer was made now with the volume?
Oh, geez, Louise.
You'd have battles of Rocketeers.
Well, I mean, even that one little the movie clip that they showed, the animated thing, and all I could think of was, was Dr. Seuss involved in propaganda films, or
it was, though. I think he was, if I remember correctly.
And I know Disney did, the Walt Disney Company did, like, American kind of, not propaganda films, but like, support the war effort sort of thing. Even that little animated short would have been done differently if it was made. It was still really cool to watch.
Yeah,
but I think it would have had a different look and feel to it.
And the Bulldog Cafe with the big bulldog.
Does that really exist?
I have no clue. That was all the questions we were going to ask our Rocketeer expert that couldn't make it today.
So we got
So
to
we'll
make
get him
sure that,
on.
yeah, we got to make sure we keep that list of questions.
Yeah. Well, because the main reason I wanted to have him on was I just wanted to talk about, so because he does the costume and stuff like that, and like it's easy to like reflect on what we do through a much smaller scale. Because I mean, if you think about the Rocketeer, really only has one costume that everyone's going to want to do. I mean, the rest are okay, but no one's gonna. I think I want to be the waitress or the, you know,
The big bruiser guy,
yeah, the big, yeah. That guy
comedic
was,
bruiser.
he was like a Dick Tracy villain.
And I think his real name is like Tiny Rob or something like
That's
that.
funny. That's funny.
But
But
he looked very Dick Tracy. I mean that
yeah,
cartoony jaw and stuff like that. It was
yeah.
fantastic.
But that's what I'm saying. Like you look at, and I guarantee the people that do those costumes are just as dedicated and picky, if you want to call it, or obsessed or whatever. Of like, and I guarantee you, they can say, well, look, there's this suit that they wore when they were dragging him behind the airplane, and there was this suit they wore here, and this suit they wore here. You know,
Well, they probably even count the rivets, on
yeah,
the jetpack or the gauge that's used or the what's the button that
the
was in his
button, yeah,
glove.
yeah,
It's got to be a certain spring loaded thing from such and such car
and
or
the
whatever.
jacket, and the pants, and the boots. Um, so yeah, that's what I just thought would be a neat conversation with someone, um, to see what, how things look from a different side, looking into a different pasture from a different side of a different
Yeah.
fence.
Well, and just to ask that question that I'd like to ask when it comes to what is it about X? What is it for this gentleman? What is it about the Rocketeer that inspires you so much to
Yeah,
go and do the thing? Whether it's to go and make the costume, to go and meet the actors, to go and Rocketeer somewhere. Like,
yeah,
what is it about this content, this material, this character, this costume that because I can't imagine. He's like, yeah, I like wearing things that cover my face.
yeah, yeah. Well, I guarantee it's still a hard costume, because the jetpack alone, um, pre 3D printing was probably a nightmare to figure out, because that's a pretty intricate jetpack with vents and fans on it.
Well,
And
and
do
to
you
have the harness to fit under the jacket properly.
and do you make it with a bullet hole with gum? And is the gum like 3D printed that mounts on there, or do you use real gum? you know,
Each and every time.
yeah. So
And what's a con safe liquid that can be dripping from the canister?
yeah, yeah. So I've seen a Mandalorian or two, a custom Mando made to represent the Rocketeer.
Oh, like
Like they've made a Mando helmet that has like a smaller fin, and they've had a backpack. I've seen it.
like a
I don't know.
mashup kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know where I've seen it, but I've seen a Mando mashup of the Rocketeer.
If I
So
were to guess, I'd probably say one of the celebrations, or
probably.
maybe even pictures. Like one. Have you seen it physically? Like you saw it?
I thought I saw one. I was thinking Steel City, but now that you say it, it might have been a celebration. But I was thinking it could have been Steel City
Because
too.
like Celebration or Dragon Con or New York and San Diego Comic Cons would be places where those sort of things get a lot of attention.
Yeah, but yeah, it was. I'm sad he couldn't make it, but we'll get him on another time.
Yeah, and we'll figure out a way too to get Rob on here with us to have
Yeah,
a little roundtable discussion here and get Marty back.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I would love to hear Marty's opinions on the Rocketeer.
So Rob says he thinks he has also seen the mashup of the Mandalorian and the Rocketeer.
And hopefully by then I'll figure out how I all of a sudden got Facebook comments working again. So
Well, I do find it funny that they started working after you stopped doing whatever you were doing.
that's true. But see, on my so if I go on the restream, whatever the chat window, it says um it says YouTube's not working, and it says Facebook's not working. So maybe that's, I just need to shut that down. Like maybe that's what's giving me the error.
Yeah, hard to say. Well, I'm glad you picked this idea for tonight.
Yeah, yeah.
A nice change of pace. And I think it's I don't remember if John said he's going to be back from his secret mission next week, but we may have another Inflatable Falcon free week because I won't record by myself.
Okay, well, maybe you can pick up some guests. Maybe do a Ken roundtable.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah.
But who knows? Because I will not be here. I'll be in the airport at the time because that's our.
To be headed back on Wednesday.
I will be headed back. I'll probably be on the plane. I don't know. I haven't looked that far ahead. I just know I leave Wednesday night. So then I'll be able to report back from Magic Jump.
Yeah. So there are three pictures that I want to see from your trip.
Okay.
One is a group shot of the family in front of the Falcon.
Okay.
Because you're going to Batu, correct?
True. Yes.
Okay. Second is any of our pals out there. So pictures of all of you with Sal or pictures of all of you in Steel. And then third, a jumping picture in front of Magic Jump.
You got it.
Those are it's a scavenger hunt.
Yeah, that's my scavenger hunt. That sounds good. I'm gonna try to post up some stuff too. I'm planning on. I'm looking for the Marvel campus too. I want to see the Spider-Man.
Oh, the flinging one, the robot thing?
Yeah, I want to see the what's it called? Computer learning. I forget what it's called, but it's not quite AI. But you teach something, you have to teach it, and then it gets better once you teach it how to do it.
Okay.
My students do it with a robot at school. I don't know what it's called. I should know the term, but I forget.
You're on summer vacation. You're not supposed to think teacher thoughts.
Yeah, I'm trying not to have it invade my thing. But
well, I'm glad we had some visitors with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you for everyone who popped in. We're going to cut this one early because I have to go get ready to get on a plane.
Safe travels, man. Safe travels.
Yep. Later, let me see if I can hit the right exit music because I think I hit the wrong intro music.
Thanks, Lily, Rob, and Marty for joining us.
Yeah, thank you all. Talk to you guys later.
Starships, but then my Falcon's hyperdrive just slipped. I used to worry about the future, but then I threw my caution to the wind. I had no reason to be carefree, no, until I took a trip to the treetop side of town. Yeah. You know I heard that wicked rhythm. Hey, I had no choice but to get down, dance. Woo! There's nothing I don't need to do but dance. All these bad times I'm going through, just dance. Got cash shaking my heels tonight, baby.
No disrespect to my man here, but you ready for the real deal, superstar?